Aaron Gordon was one of the most hyped prospects in his high school class. A ridiculously athletic player with handles who is dunking over everyone is always going to be talked up. And Aaron Gordon was taken by the Orlando Magic 4th in the draft. And over the last 3 years, he has struggled to find his place in the league and on an Orlando Magic roster that has been far from well managed. But Orlando have a new general manager, and are under the guidance of Frank Vogel in his second year. And things are beginning to look like they could get better for the first time since the departure of Dwight Howard. This video will cover why this year is a boom or bust year for Aaron Gordon in his contract year, as well as taking a look at Orlando's horrible moves in the past, their new GM and his moves, and some potential moves that they could make this year and off-season as they look to the future. Everyone can see Aaron Gordon's potential. He's incredibly athletic and demonstrated this when he was robbed of the dunk championship in 2016. He's also shown flashes in his game on both ends of the floor. All of this indicates that he's someone who could still put it together and be a very good NBA player. But it is the final year of his rookie contract, and he couldn't agree to an extension with the Orlando Magic, as he bets on himself to produce and get paid this season. This is a really interesting decision, as we saw it backfire with Nerlens Noel this past offseason, as no one was willing to offer him the big money he was after in free agency, and he had to accept his qualifying offer. This will likely cost Noel money, even if he signs a big contract next season, and also costs him the long-term security that comes with signing a big contract. This has all come about due to the salary cap not going up as much as predicted, meaning teams have less money to splurge on free agency. Teams also handed out huge money in the 2016 free agency frenzy, which tied a lot of salary up for a long time. And whilst teams like Brooklyn, Philadelphia, and the Bulls have plenty of salary cap available, there is no guarantee that they will be calling Aaron Gordon's number this free agency. Aaron Gordon suffered last season when the Magic tried to play him at the small forward position alongside Serge Ibaka and Vucevic. The spacing simply wasn't there, and taking one of the most athletic and skilled players around the rim further away from it looks pretty silly in hindsight. The Magic pretty quickly figured this out and traded Ibaka to the Raptors, netting themselves Terrence Ross and a first-round draft pick in return. And whilst Ross isn't a team-changing piece, it did allow Gordon to slide to the 4. And when he returned to his rightful position on the court, Gordon showed signs of his true potential in the league, averaging 16.4 points, 6.2 rebounds, 1.7 assists, and a block and a steal per game in just 31 minutes, all while shooting over 50% from the field. In this period, he still had some weaker games, but showed more consistency and managed to score 32 points on 2 separate occasions. This offseason, Gordon would have been completely aware that he was the starter at the 4 for the year, and he had a completely defined role on the court. This would have allowed him to be more sure of the work he was putting in, and continue to work on his spot-up 3 to improve his ability to provide spacing on the court. The reason Aaron Gordon is so suited to the 4 is the transition in the modern NBA to small ball. Gordon is slightly undersized at 6'9", and may have struggled 10 years ago playing the 4. However, as everyone is now aware, teams are getting smaller and smaller, and Gordon's athleticism and defensive instincts help him make up for his size if he gets matched up on bigger guys. And the smaller stature and his immense speed and quick first step allow him to drive past bigger 4s and get to the rim or collapse a defense. And this is partly why his 3-point shot developing is so essential to his career. If he can't get it to around 33 to 36% from deep, then teams don't have to race to close out on him. But if he can develop the shot, it will force defenders to respect his shooting and close out on rotations a lot faster. And this is when guys like LeBron, Kevin Durant, and Draymond Green really capitalize on their wide skill set. They blow by the defender on the closeout and create an essential 5-on-4 on offense, allowing them to get an easy shot or pass it off to an open teammate. Gordon is capable of joining this club in a mini version, and whilst he isn't as good as a passer as the above 3, he will thrive on drives to the rim off of the 3-point line. And Gordon isn't an incapable passer. He has good handles and good skills with the ball, and I think that if given the ball more and able to attack closeout more effectively, he could bump up his assist numbers quite well. And Gordon has shown all of this ability in the preseason, shooting 42% from 3 as he gives every single Orlando Magic fan reason to believe with an impressive preseason campaign. But the preseason can be deceiving, and we should temper our expectations for any player dominating against teams that are experimenting with players and rotations. But if this increase in shooting reflects in a slight change in the regular season, and his shooting jumps from 28 to 35%, then there is room for Gordon to be the prototypical 4 in the NBA, and the Orlando Magic will almost certainly match any offer for him. And this is because extremely positive defenders that also produce in any capacity on the offensive end are already valuable. But Gordon has shown he can be more than merely positive on offense. He isn't close to a player like Andre Roberson, And even if his 3-ball doesn't fall at a high rate, his transition offense, offensive rebounding, and finishing around the rim more than make up for it. And on top of this, Aaron Gordon's only 22. He is insanely young, and most players don't reach the prime of their basketball career until around 25 to 29 years old. He has so much time to reach his full potential, and who knows what kind of player he will be at 25. If a team like Brooklyn could snag him in restricted free agency, it would be a phenomenal score for a team desperately looking to acquire talent. The system in Orlando is also improving dramatically. A few years ago, it was an absolute mess of a front office who loved to make bizarre moves and were maybe a touch too obsessed with Elfrid Payton. But they have put together a solid front office now after firing Rob Hennigan and hiring John Hammond and Jeff Weltman to run the show. Both of these guys have been GMs at other organizations. John Hammond was the GM of the Milwaukee Bucks and drafted players like Thon Maker and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Jeff Weltman helped run the Toronto Raptors before Masai Ujiri took over. And the Magic have struggled ever since Dwight left and drafted players who haven't lived up to the expectations in Mario Hezonja, Victor Oladipo, and even Elfrid Payton to an extent. None of their top picks have converted into a superstar or even a star. And simultaneously, they've made some short-sighted moves, such as trading for Serge Ibaka and signing Bismack Biyombo to a huge contract when they had already had Ibaka and Vucevic. Hennigan made a solid move this season in realising his error with Ibaka, and trading him for Terrence Ross and a future first-round pick is a really good move. And after that, the new GM combo of Hammond and Weltman made a risky pick by taking Jonathan Isaac 6th overall. Isaac probably has one of the highest ceilings in this year's draft, but also comes with the risk of failing in the league. Standing at 7 foot, with rumours of him being 7'1", he can actually play the 3, 4, and even projects to be able to play at the 5. He's incredibly skilled with the ball for a young player of his size, and has shown he can dribble and shoot very effectively. But these skills have been shown against inferior talent when compared to the NBA, and it will be very interesting to see this year how he deals with the speed of the NBA and the talent of their defenders. I think the Magic see him similarly to how the Knicks see Kristaps Porzingis. Let them develop in the league at the 4, but with the long-term goal of slotting them at the 5 next to Aaron Gordon. This would maximise spacing and won't force Orlando to play 3 big guys. I'd also advise Orlando Magic fans to take it easy on Jonathan Isaac. He's a big man prospect and has a tough job coming to the league, and he'll show signs of struggling in his first few games and might not find his true position and footing in the league until his 2nd or 3rd year. And then long term, I like Evan Fournier, who is a super solid shooting guard that fits this team perfectly. He knocks down threes, can drive and create off of the dribble, and plays well almost every single night. He brings consistency to this young team that they desperately need, and will be a great option for his teammates to pass to if they're struggling or the possession breaks down. And his backcourt mate, Elfrid Payton, is a little bit of a dilemma for me and the Magic. He's an athletic point guard who's a fantastic passer, defends well, rebounds well, and sees the court really well, but he hasn't shown he can shoot the ball. And if he doesn't this season, it might be time for Orlando to look to the future and for a new point guard. However, if Isaac can play the 5 and Gordon develops his shot and plays the 4, then the Magic would be able to make up for Payton's lack of shooting a lot better than they currently do, by surrounding him with 4 shooters and guys that defend well and run the floor well. All these scenarios don't really involve Vucevic, and I think it is time for Orlando to move on from him. They have Biyombo, who's a much better defender and a worse trade piece, and Vuce suits the 90s style of basketball far more than he does this fast-paced era. He can't shoot threes well, is way too slow up and down the court, and does not possess the agility laterally to guard pick and rolls. Orlando could potentially trade him for a late first, or even less, but trading him will open up playing time for Isaac and allow Orlando to tank properly for the first time since they drafted Oladipo. Drafting in the pick 5 to 10 range is still good, but the true talent consistently lies in the top 5, and I think the Magic don't want to admit that they aren't good enough this year and drop down just one more time for a top talent in this year's loaded draft. But if they keep striving to win with a mediocre base, then the franchise will consistently find themselves out of the playoffs and out of the top 5 draft picks. One of the worst places to be in the NBA as a franchise. But what do you guys think? Can Aaron Gordon break out this season? Will Orlando prove me wrong, or will they fall into a crumbling heap again? Let me know in the comments below. And thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe for more NBA videos in the future.